Hello, I'm Tony Guida. This is My New York. Here is your chance to put a face on one of the most recognizable voices in this city. The Dean of New York's radio newsmen, Rich Lamb. 41 years reporting for WCBS News Radio. Rich has covered everything from the Thanksgiving Day parade to the destruction of the World Trade Center and the election of a couple of popes. But wait till you hear his story of spotting Jimmy Hoffa on a Saturday morning in Michigan. Next. What a delight to have Rich Lamb with us. I have worked with this man, I have loved this man, and we've picked out furniture together. No.
We've worked in Nicaragua together. You remember we were looking for Daniel Ortega Saavedra standing around at midnight outside of some building down there that used to belong to the Swedish embassy, and he never came out.
Right. Well,
what are you going to do?
That was his loss. Good to see you, Rich. You're from Hartford. When you were growing up in Hartford, was it your dream to be on the radio?
Well, you know, my dad was really into electronics. My dad had been a bartender and a salesman and all sorts of other things, but he loved electronics. And he taught us how to build crystal radios.
Really?
You know, you had a little copper wire, and you put it around the oatmeal box like this, and then you put little things on it so you could tune it, and you would hear it on the, so you would DX, you were listening to distant radio stations at night. It was magical, you know. And we had WTIC up there, which was owned by the Travelers Insurance Company. Right. And they spent tons of money on that radio station. And it had tremendous programming. They had an American history broadcast in the afternoon. I couldn't believe how cool it was. And Bob Steele in the morning, who owned about 65% of the audience. And you just wanted to be like these guys. That's what it was. You wanted to be on the radio. And that's what I wanted to do.
And so when you went to the University of Detroit, what did you major in?
Well, we studied radio, TV, journalism, English.
They had those courses?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Television had been invented then. Well, I know. We weren't speaking Latin.
I went to a Jesuit school. They didn't know anything about communication.
Well, I had some nuns who were from Ohio, and they thought the University of Detroit was the place to go as far as television was concerned, radio. And so, you know, that's where I went. And when I got there, there were bullet holes in the administration building from the riots of 1967. And then 68, of course, was a tumultuous year. And we had half tracks going up Livernois next to the campus. It was wild, but it was a great education. But as you know, whatever you learn in college, as soon as you get to the business itself, you have to learn all kinds of new things. Right. Let's just put it that way.
It's a different job on the job than
right.
they told you about the classroom. Which is, you know, you had your first job in Michigan in a little hillbilly radio.
It was WEXL Royal Oak, 1340, 1,000-watt daytime, 250 at night. You lose the signal going out of the parking lot at night. I will tell you, it was a small radio station, cinder blocks. We had guys who came up from the South who did DJ work. I was in the news department, and you know, it was interesting.
You were probably the entire news department.
Well, you know, we had 3 or 4 people. I finally ended up news director, but that was after 2 years. We had one AP machine. It was a tiny operation, but we did what we could to try to make a name for ourselves. And I did, you know, it was the radio station was licensed to Royal Oak. And it suddenly occurred to me that Charles Coughlin, who was a Catholic priest and a broadcaster, right-wing, anti-Semitic, there's just no other way to describe it, was a very powerful broadcaster in the 30s. And I thought,
and he was doing that from Royal Oak, Michigan.
Yeah, from the Shrine of the Little Flower, I think is the name of the church. So I thought, I wonder if he's still around. So I dialed, you know, in those days you'd dial 411, and I asked for Charles, and sure enough, he's in the phone book. I call, I get a hold of a woman who answers the phone. She's his housekeeper. Yes, write him a letter. He agrees to an interview, and I get to do one of the last interviews with the Reverend Charles Coughlin, and it was at this time that Nixon was in China, and he said that Nixon is holding the bloody red hand of Mao. I mean, he was so dramatic. It would send chills up and down your spine. We put this half hour on the radio. The phones burned down, and I got a call from the Free Press or the News, I can't remember which one, in Detroit. They said, "Why didn't you tell us about this?" I thought, "Why didn't you call him? He's in the phone book." You know?
I did my job. Why don't you do yours?
Right.
So that's a great story.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Hoffa?
True.
This is when you were at this little radio station?
A Saturday morning, and I'm looking, and it says, Jimmy Hoffa is going to be at this community college. I'm like, Jimmy Hoffa? Can that be the Jimmy Hoffa? So I go, and there's nobody there, no news media. He had just gotten out of federal prison, and he was speaking, I don't know, to a group of students. I caught him in the hallway, and all I can remember is a short little guy, and had the hardest, coldest eyes.
Built like a
built like a fire plug.
Yeah.
Hardest, coldest eyes I've ever seen. And I said, "What's your philosophy of bargaining?" And he said, "More, and still more." And I would have asked better questions had I known what was going to happen to him in a couple of years. You know?
Yes. More. So you come to New York. You get a job at, a rock station?
99X, WXLO, which was OR's FM.
Rich was the morning radio guy, morning radio newsman, and he was the sidekick of a fellow named Jay Thomas, who is legendary.
Oh.
If for no, I think Jay Thomas won an Emmy one year for working on the Murphy Brown show. But Jay Thomas is legendary for one story. We're not going to tell it because we wouldn't do it justice, but the Lone Ranger story.
Should really recommend it. He was at a radio station, I think, in North Carolina at the time, and he was doing a remote. And
at a car dealership.
Right, a car dealership.
With the Lone Ranger.
With the Lone Ranger, but we can't spoil
we can't
do the punchline, but you gotta go YouTube.
I tell you, David, I'll say one thing, and I don't want to take time away from Rich here, but David Letterman, on his late night show, used to bring Jay every Christmas season. I mean, maybe 10 or 11 in a row, because he wanted him to tell, it became a tradition on the David Letterman show, that Jay Summer come on around Christmas and tell this story. Google it. Let's get you to WCBS. So 1978?
Yeah. So I was I would go down to City Hall occasionally when I was working for 99X. I met a guy named Steve Flanders, who was a tremendous political reporter and a wonderful guy. He came up to me and he said, "Jerry Nachman is leaving WCBS. I'd like you to try out for his job." I really thought he was joking, because Jerry
Nachman was a legend, and to many so was Steve Flanders.
Absolutely.
By the way, the what would you call it? The roadway in front of City Hall is named Steve Flanders Way or something.
It's a plaza, I think they call it, Steve Flanders Plaza. Anyway, so I tried out, and I have to tell you, during the, I get up there and they say, "You've got 2 hours to write a newscast." Now, I'd written all the news all morning long, so I already knew. Then I said, "This is the stuff I already wrote." So like 25 minutes later, I said, "I'm all set to go." And really? Okay, go back, go into a studio. And they had a little silver tray in the middle of the table, and there was a pitcher on it, and there were 4 glasses. I thought, well, I better wet the whistle before I try this audition. So I take the glass, and I hold it, and I grab the thing, and I think it has one of those little releases on it, but it doesn't. It has a cork. So the cork comes flying out, and I pour about a pint of cold water right into a very sensitive area, and involuntarily stand up. And meanwhile, the assistant news director and the engineer in the next room are on the floor.
Right.
They're like, they've never seen that. And so I sat down and said, I do this to loosen up during auditions.
And at the same time, you're thinking, I just blew this.
I'm thinking that's it. Right.
I'll never get this job.
So when I got the phone call, I couldn't have been more, I was totally shocked. And I was like, I'm going to be the next WCBS reporter? Now I have to do that? I used to listen to them to figure out what I was going to do on my newscast,
Yeah.
Now what are you going to do?
You're going to set the mark. Man.
Right. It was great.
And you did, and you have, and you continue to. I mean, it's, the range of things you've covered, some of which I mentioned at the top. I don't know. Let's go to the World Trade Center. I mean, twice it was attacked. Once the bombing in '93, was it?
Right.
And then, of course,
February 26, 1993, my 15th anniversary at CBS. It's easy for me to remember the date. That was a shocker. I was in the newsroom, and we thought it was first they said it was a transformer explosion, then they thought maybe it was a PATH train, and then things got more and more serious, and suddenly we realized that there had been a bombing. And I actually went down. I don't know whether you had a chance to do that. You probably did.
Actually, I didn't, but we'll...
Mark Marchese brought me down there, and he was a PR guy who had worked for Beam and then for the Port Authority. He was the head of public relations. And there was this 100-foot wide hole in concrete that was like 1.5 feet thick, steel reinforced. It went down 7 floors. It was a 1,200-pound bomb. And you could still smell like the cordite when I was down there. You know how there's that bitter, weird smell in the air, and you just thought, I can remember after that, of course there were 1,041 people were injured, 7 people died if you count the fetus of the pregnant woman who was killed. And I used to remember, I would drive down the Jersey Turnpike extension, I would look at those buildings, I'd say, I'd snicker to myself, they thought they were going to knock those buildings down. What idiots. And look at what happened.
Yeah.
You know?
Is that covering the destruction, the aftermath, is that when you got that sort of heads up and kind of, buddy
right
from Pete Prezioso? Is that, or
no,
am
that's,
I thinking of a...
Yeah, no, that's a different one, but I did get a heads up from a state police officer. This is now we're at 9/11, okay? A couple of days later, the president's coming up to the scene there. And I am...
This is George...
Yeah, this is George W. Bush.
Right.
And he is going to speak to some construction workers who are lined up. And they're over on the right, and I'm on the left headed over there when a state police officer I knew from various occasions said, "Rich, stand here." And I said, "What are you talking about? The president's over there." He said, "Stand here." He says, "That's all I'm telling you." So I stood there. So the president moves right over, gets up on the back of a fire truck 10 feet in front of me, gets the bullhorn and starts talking about the people who knock these buildings down are going to hear from us. And the construction workers are chanting, "USA, USA." And I would never have been in that spot had I not known this guy and he hadn't done me that favor. So that happens, as you know, a lot in this business if people like you.
If they like you.
Right.
And they have always liked you.
Well, some of them.
I think it's not only just like, but it's a question of respect and trust in what you do. You don't throw people under buses and things like that.
Right.
Straight reporting, here are the facts, and I'll tell you what I know, and when I know more, I'll tell you that too. What about that Pete Prezioso story? He was a cop.
Yeah. Yes, he was I think a deputy inspector finally.
Yeah. Way up there.
So this has to do with John Lennon and when John Lennon is shot. And you'll remember that it was a Monday night, December 8th, 1980.
Yeah.
And Mike Callahan, who was our producer, gets on the two-way and says, "Hey, they've just announced on Monday Night Football," I was thinking, what? "That John Lennon has been shot."
Yeah, I remember I was working the 11 o'clock news on television, maybe even Channel 2. I don't know if I was anchoring, but I was working. And of course, the assassination didn't happen until, I don't know, like 11:45. So it was after the news, and I went home and turned on the Tonight Show, and this bulletin comes across. But go ahead.
So I drive up. I'm going past the Dakota on 72nd Street, and there were already people there with candles. I mean, that quickly. And then I go down to Roosevelt Hospital, go into the hospital, and just as the doctor walks out and says, "Mr. Lennon was shot in the chest, he's expired," I said, "Well, that's all I'm going to use of that." So I run back out to the car, put the key in the door, open the door, and land on broken glass. They've ripped all of the radio gear out of the car in 5 minutes. I wasn't in there any more than 5 minutes. That was New York in those days. Those are the things that happen to you.
So you can't file.
Right. No, I had to. So I go over to the 20th precinct, which is where we intersect with Pete Prezioso. Prezioso says to me, go into a room there and there's a piece of paper on it. I said, Pete, what are you talking about? Because I really didn't know him that well. I knew him, but I didn't know him that well. He says, will you just go in and look at, I said, okay. I go in and I look down and I see Mark David Chapman. So I write the name down. I come out, I said to him, who is that? He says, who do you think it is? And then there was said a little more explicitly than that. And I said, is he the shooter? He says, yeah. He says, I said, where's he from? He says, Hawaii. I said, Hawaii? I said, this is my job if I go on with this. I said, you giving this to me? He says, yeah. He says, it's good. I said, just get away from me. So I go out onto the street. Now I've got to walk down to the corner to get a payphone because they ripped all the radio gear out of my car. And I call it in, I call collect, and I put the thing on. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I come back in, and all the other reporters were not happy. Where'd you get that? So a little birdie, you know.
I'm a reporter.
What are you going to do?
I find things out.
I have no idea why he gave that to me, as I had no real long-term friendship with this guy.
Well, over 41 years, you've had great contacts and friendships even with the New York Archdiocese, Cardinal
O'Connor. Right.
Some of the
I saw Cook a couple of times, not much. Then O'Connor, right?
And you covered the election of a couple of popes. But O'Connor interests me because, before we get to that, I want to go back to the Lennon, the night of Lennon.
Uh-huh.
So I get home and I'm unaware and I turn on TV and then there's this bulletin and I go, oh my God. And my first reaction was to turn on WNEW FM because that station was where these artists lived, in effect, people like John Lennon.
It was the repository of rock music, really, when you get down to it.
And it became a campfire, and this is that night of mourning and of great, outpouring of love and interest in John Lennon, and I listened to it far into the night. In fact, he even went there, but that's another story. But I did want to bring it up only because of the power of radio. I've worked on television, I worked at WCBS Radio. I was struck by the difference, the power, the intimacy of radio. You're there, you're immediate, you're conveying something almost in real time, many times in real time. Television is kind of distance. There's something about the two technologies. I really like radio.
Yeah, it's very intimate and very one-on-one. Look at Roosevelt in his fireside chats. I mean, he connected. This is, of course, before television, but he's connecting with people as never before any president did. With that intimate conversational tone, and radio is really amazing in that regard. And it's kind of funny when you meet younger people sometimes, young cops, anybody, and they say, oh, I've listened to you since I was a little kid. And that's a compliment. Of course, it makes you feel like you're 100 years old. But it's really remarkable. A couple of times on the street, I was on the phone once, on a payphone, and a guy says to me, are you Rich Lum? I said, yeah. I said, but I looked down and I thought maybe I had my press card on or something. And I said, how do you know? He says, I know your voice. So it's remarkable, it just, and you never think that way because you're alone in a room with a microphone and there's nobody watching, you don't have a set. It's just a little tiny booth. And yet out there are the living rooms and the car radios and all of these people listening to you.
Yeah, well, if you could go back to the night, if there are recordings of the night, I'm sure there are, the night Lennon was assassinated, recordings of WNEW-FM, you would have learned, you would have understood, you would have learned everything you didn't know about Lennon, you would have understood the music, the man, I mean, just that campfire, it was an amazing situation. Anyway, you've covered, presidents being elected. You've covered popes being elected. The Pope's visit to the city.
I do want to go. Can we just talk about that, the funeral for Cardinal Cook for 2 seconds?
Sure.
All right. Only because we've been talking about death and destruction here, from 9/11 to John Lennon. And now, yes, this is a funeral. It's sad, but it's Cardinal Cook, Terence Cardinal Cook dies, and they're having a funeral in St. Patrick's Cathedral. And what I thought was one of the great eulogies of all time came from Bishop Patrick Ahern of Staten Island, who had been close to Cardinal Cook, and one night was driving him around in Westchester in a car, and it's like midnight, and suddenly the car sputters and runs out of gas. And he turns to the Cardinal and he says, the car's out of gas. And the Cardinal says, pull into that gas station over there. And he says, but Eminence, they're closed. He said, pull into the gas station. Pull in. They get out of the car. He said, what are we going to do? He says, the Cardinal said, every one of those hoses has a pint of gas in it. Now you got to and they apparently went and he emptied each hose and pushed the car. And Ahern said in this eulogy, I was thinking, what if some cop comes along and finds the Cardinal Archbishop of New York and one of his bishops stealing gas from a closed gas station? What's going to happen? Well, apparently he got away with it. He said, we got out of there and nobody ever knew. But what a comical moment in the middle of this very sad funeral. It was just.
He was resourceful.
Tremendous. It was
among other things.
Great story. Yeah.
Well, you don't get to be cardinal unless you know a lot of things. I never knew there's a pint of gas in those hoses that are hanging up.
Cook was born in Upper Manhattan but grew up in the Bronx. Let's leave it there.
Okay, there you go. Rich is a collector of trivia about presidents. Anything you want to share off the top of your head?
Yeah, there's let me see now. There are 2 places in New York City in which a president has been sworn into office.
Francis Tavern?
No. It was, okay, so it's Lower Manhattan at the corner of Wall and Broad Streets, Federal Hall. So who's sworn in there? George Washington in 1789, because this was the capital of the United States in 1789. Remember then they moved it to Philadelphia and they built someplace down on the Potomac down there later on.
Yeah, later on.
Yeah. And the other one is on Lexington Avenue, and that was who was sworn in there? Chester A. Arthur, right? When Garfield died after being assassinated, Chester Arthur was the Vice President of the United States, and he was sworn in his house on Lexington Avenue. So there are 2 places where presidents have been sworn into office in New York City.
You heard it from Rich Lamb, and he knows. It is a joy to see you, and we didn't get to talk about, I don't know, the night side, when things weren't happening. Yeah. But you got to tell one quick one about one of the. Rich was working night side, and it's a slow news night. Except, pick one of those stories.
All right, why don't we pick Ted Kennedy? Does that work?
Sure.
All right. So Ted Kennedy, Edward M. Kennedy, is thinking about running for president in 1980. He's going to get into the race. And don't forget that Carter is president, so he's going to challenge a Democratic incumbent. This is not often done, and often does not turn out to be a good idea for him anyway. But he's over on the East Side, and he's gone into a fundraiser, and there was nothing going on, as you said, that night. So the producer said, go over there and just make sure Kennedy gets in and out okay, because, he's a Kennedy, and we know what that means. And so I'm standing there, I've got my microphone and my tape recorder, and a guy walks up to me and says, who are you? And I said, well, I'm a radio reporter. He says, I know you're a radio reporter, I can see that. Who are you? I said, Rich Lamb. He said, oh, I've listened to you. And I said, who are you? And I don't remember what name he gave me. And I said, what are you doing here? He said, I'm here to kill Kennedy.
What?
I said, nice weather we've been having. I've got to go to the restroom now. So I go over, I talk to a TV correspondent, and I say, who's the head of the detail? She tells me, I go to him. I report what just transpired. He says, thank you very much.
You told the police. Not reporting on the radio.
I told the Secret Service guy, who was head of the Secret Service detail, I should have said. I circled back about 20 feet behind this guy because I don't want to be too close to him because I'm wondering what's going to happen. Kennedy comes out. I'm rolling. Everybody's rolling because all the TV guys know what I've said. And nothing happens. Nothing happens. I'm like, oh, you know, these guys, Secret Service guys, didn't take it seriously. Everybody probably thinks I'm an idiot. Somebody would walk up and say that. Why would I go report it? I begin to walk away. The head of the detail comes over and says, you want to know what we did? I said, I didn't see anything. He says, that's good. He says, we did a rolling pat down, which he described to me in detail. And then he said, and we put a guy behind him in case he reaches for the briefcase, which he had put down. I said, well, why didn't you just grab him? He said, we wanted to protect you. He knew who you were. And if he's obviously not well, if he's coming up and telling me he's going to shoot Kennedy, who knows? Maybe he comes back and stands in front of CBS one night, and that's it. So that was I was really embarrassed first because I thought, you know, I took this guy seriously. He's just obviously a nut, but hey, it worked out.
Yeah. Well, a lot has worked out for you over the years, and your radio listeners are the better for it. I thank you for being here. It's good to see you, Bruce.
Thank you. It wasn't long enough. You're a talented interviewer.
No, you've got all the stories. Turn the key and he goes.
To be with Tony Guida is a real professional pleasure.
Is a day and never mind. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.